Alright, we'll give this a go. So, welcome everyone to my very first video. Um, I'll just be open and honest with you. This is totally my first video, so it's impromptu, so don't expect much. But I figured, hey, you know what? I really like this Elrond blockchain. Saw pretty much what they were doing. Um, Overall, the team was pretty knowledgeable, pretty humble from what I can tell, right? Because we only know as far as much as people can, research and what's on the surface. And if it's not, obfuscated or, you know, the things that we don't see that's going on behind the scenes, one can only assume, one can only know, but based off of my observations from an outside perspective, I thought Elrond was a great blockchain. So I decided to go ahead and, you know, delve into it and try to check things out. And from what I could tell, they started out pretty well. I mean, they kicked started with them going off of an ERC20 token, and then they went on and did their own thing, made their own blockchain. And as I started researching and reviewing their documentation, pretty much their tech docs, um, it's not bad for the most part. Kind of describes a lot of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, I'm totally new to all of this. So I figured, mm, there may be other people outside this world that may be um, pretty much somewhere around my excitement, kind of want to learn what's going on with Elrond and how to code for it. Um, I figure too, during this whole entire market crash was a perfect opportunity to kind of disconnect from all of that and the stress of the markets. I mean, as we're talking, looks like Bitcoin's kind of tanking right now as I'm doing this. You can see here, it's just getting obliterated there. But yeah, I figured, what better way to just kind of disconnect from all of this global affairs and all the crazy things going on in the world than to, distract myself by some coding. So I digress. But anyway, yeah, I figured, give it a shot. So I took some time to myself and I kind of just went through the documentation. I played around with some of the contracts too. I installed erdpy and pretty much got that going. Maybe as time progressed and then start to kind of record more of these types of videos, maybe I'll go ahead and do a start to finish instruct or whatever type of video for total basic noobs. But eventually I just wanted to get to a point where I can start designing these smart contracts and learning how the in and outs of that goes. And not only just the smart contracts, but um, learning how to make one of these wrapped applications around it, like a GUI, or, in some cases, like make a video game, right? Like what I was trying to do, for example, was, I'm going to ramble because I don't care. I mean, I'm just doing this for the love, and people can hate, do whatever. But the point of this just kind of take you through my journey, and I figured I might as well not do this alone. There's, probably some people out in the world is wondering some stuff, and maybe I know more than they do, and I can show them some stuff through this video, or we can just, do this together. You know, I can show you some stuff, you can show me some stuff, and we'll see where it goes. But I was kind of playing around. starting these projects, doing some Unity coding for video games. But I figured, hey, you know what? If I get this Elrond stuff down, maybe I can integrate the blockchain with some video games, you know? So I figured I'd kind of learn that. Because, I mean, a lot of the code that's going on here is mostly using reactjs. That's like the wrapper, I guess, that the wrapper application they decided to go with and make templates with and to play around on. So, I mean, after you follow the tutorials and get your Elrond environment installed on your nodejs, pretty much can just spin it up and see how everything's going here. See? Once you follow their tutorials, spin up your own little application, it'll look something like this here. So you can play around with the ping-pong app. So I figured, like, you know, there's some pretty good videos out there, you know. There's some videos that I like to follow. One of them is from this guy. This guy kind of builds his own applications. So he was a good starting point. I liked him. Bogdan. Probably butchered his name, but, you know, correct me. I'm always down. But, you know, I was watching some of his tutorials and how he's playing around and seeing the relationships in between the contracts and the application was kind of cool. But eventually, something like this, I was playing around with trying to just make some basic game, right? And, you know, eventually getting to the point where kind of just getting a web client smart contract, right? Connecting in such a way where you get a game going, just using the basic Unity template, but changing the buttons and inputting something. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos pretty much on how to getting Ethereum wallet interaction, interacting with the Ethereum blockchain. So I thought, okay, that's cool, but Ethereum's just killing me in the gas fees. So I figured Elrond's another cheap solution. So I'm trying to figure out how to interact with the Elrond code to get that inside these little assets here inside Unity. So in theory, I'm thinking if you make a button, right? Just like any type of coding or anything you do, takes, you know, small integral baby steps to get to eventually what you want to do, right? You echo, you know, the result before you actually try to get the code to do what you want to do. So I figured, start with the button. Got the button to interact, get my wallet. You know, again, I'm just a noob, so I was at least able to get that. But I eventually wanted to get to the point where if you click something in the game, you know, maybe just click on an item, pick it up, that'll automatically run a script to call out to the blockchain to maybe, I don't know, mint an NFT or something, right? So that way you start kind of getting that going. And that's the other thing too, is connecting your wallet. Every single thing you do, you know, getting the assets, minting it, now it's associated to your account kind of thing. So I figured, yeah, a better way just to do it in this Elrond stuff. So like I mentioned, starting with baby steps, I went with their dApp and followed their instructions. And their instructions pretty good. I mean, like I mentioned, it's just taking you to a lot of their repositories and all this other kind of stuff to do. So let's see. So I was pretty much trying to fiddle around, and you start off with just building this app in 15 minutes. Followed that, and that's the one thing. The documentation is maybe dated, and that's the tricky thing about all this, because as they're developing, um, the repositories, the versions, the libraries, everything that you're dealing with, the technology, right? Just it's already outdated. We're like at Python 3.10. This gave me some errors. Who knows, in the future, if you resort to this video or reference it, maybe something else, right? But, it's always hard to try to keep your documentation up to date to the new standards. But, yeah, as I followed this, I was like, okay, great. I start learning this. And once I start learning this, I can figure out how I'm interacting with, this application, this dApp. So, for example, here, that's pretty much what this is going to come out to, right? So I figured out, reviewing the code, seeing where I can tweak it, how I can manipulate it, and eventually customize it to exactly what I want to do. So what I was trying to do is figure out how to make this app, pretty much act like, for example, instead of interacting with Eagle directly, it's on the testnet, mind you, instead of doing Eagle as a default, maybe use a token, like an EDST or whatever it is. So as you can see, I made this DOM token, EDST or whatever, and it gave it a certain value number of its tokens. And here is the faucet testnet tokens. So I pulled that. So as you can see, I'm trying to grab that, right? And instead, somewhere in the application, it's still just grabbing this 209 X eagle or testnet eagle. Instead, I wanted to read the DOM, right? So, I was reviewing the code and trying to figure things out. So what I did was, usually inside your environment for your, you know, for the dApp that you're going to play around with, you usually have a contract, the dApp, and the wallet. It's basic structure. So when you have Visual Studio Code, your IDE, and you install your Elrond SDK, pretty much you can install your Elrond environment here. I think, is it like, you run this command here. I think it was Control T. Yeah. No, that's not it. The videos gives the instructions. I usually am pretty bad at memorizing everything. I just kind of lazily make reference to it, Command palette, that's what it was. Control, was it? Control Shift P. There it is. Let's see. Control Shift. Bam. Elrond setup workspace. Boom. And then that'll set everything up and install these dependencies and folder structure and references, I guess, and all that stuff. I may be totally wrong in some definitions. Don't take me literally. I don't know the lingo. I'm definitely just a spaghetti coder. I just copy and paste stuff. It's pretty much what I do, and eventually through it, find my way. I'm just a monkey mashing at a keyboard here, so. So once you install that, right, I started looking through it. So, you look at the source. Oh, yeah, so there's a smart contract. The dApp is the application, the wrapper, the GUI, right? And then the wallet, this is just your test wallet. Setting up your wallet, using that to deploy your smart contracts that your dApp will wrap around and interact with, right? So this is the dApp. So from there, I go into smart contract, go in ping-pong. So they're using wasm. So they're doing the, WebAssembly is their approach and their vision for the future of app development for the web and whatnot. So through here, they're using a bunch of stuff. They're using Rust, they're using Node, and reactjs. So for starters, they started using let's expand this out here. And let me just run this. So they're using Rust to pretty much script up their smart contracts. So as in the other videos, they pretty much always start this stuff at the top. And this is following Rust's syntax or structure. So you're always going to kind of see this hashtag stuff, right? And then you'll see the main components of the smart contract. So it initiates it. It's all Rust stuff. Looks like you're setting the amount to ping, how long, the type of unit. Now here's the tricky part. This is the option of token IDs. This is where I was trying to figure out how to mess with the token to get it to call my token EDST instead of calling eGold. That way, I figured, hey, maybe I can make a game token or a patron type of token, a reward system or something like that. And here, you can see I edited, changed it from eagle to dong. And, you can kind of make your way through the contract and break it up. I'm by no means a person who can actually read all this crap, so I'm pretty low end on the totem pole here. But it seems to me if I had to describe it, and the audience that this video is intended for isn't really, some of you guys may totally get this. That's awesome, but there may be a lot of people who don't like me, so maybe you'll find this helpful. But the way I see it is, for every one of these lines here, you're creating like endpoints, right? know, and just like API calls on the web. So got something like that, right? You can think of this as a web page. And then somewhere on there, you're going to have like some text input fields, you know. And maybe if you're, you know, again, I can be totally wrong, but just the way I'm understanding it. Don't know the exact words, but you know, like on web pages, you have the X paths, and you can write like a Selenium script or I think they call it I forget, con, COBOL or I forget. Selenium. Catalan. Catalan, I think is what it was. Yeah, this guy. So, you know, you get these scripts kind of run through a web page and you find the X path and you kind of interact with all those areas of the web page, right? Well, those areas of the web page, I kind of think of those as, you know, they could be seen as type of API endpoints if you know how to write a script, sends off a JSON, just does its thing to these endpoints, right? Extracts data, writes data, posts, gets, all that beautiful stuff. So I'm thinking that for each one of these endpoints that you see here is kind of what you're creating over here, right? So that way, when it comes to you creating your, you know, wrapped software application GUI, you're essentially going to be creating the graphical user interface. You know? Pretty much this guy. So that way a person can actually read it, see it, interact with it, you know? So that's that. But yeah, as I go through it, kind of figuring out which segment does what. So you're going to ping, you're going to send off your money. Pong, you're going to get it back. It does all these checks. Is it there? Can you pull it out? How's the timer? Does it meet all the criteria before you can pull it up? See? And then all this other stuff. So that's essentially the Rust, you know, structure there. And once you code everything, all the definitions and all those endpoints, then you compile it, and that spits it out over here, I presume, the ping-pong wasm. As it deploys, it compiles it and sends it off to the Elrond blockchain to get minted to the smart contract. It's alive and ready to go, ready to be interacted with. So this gets the smart contract going. The other area too is I noticed they got this erdjson, erdpy.json. So when you're using the Elrond SDK, you actually install this erdpy. There's another one I'm fascinated and kind of want to check out, and that's that erdjs, the JavaScript of it. From what I've been told, it actually is a good way, probably the best way to get into this, and if you're going to make a game and interact with it. But I digress. The erdpy is the Python version you install when you follow those instructions on that wiki or the docs. You follow this. But once you install erdpy, I noticed that there's this erd.json file that's in the video, and here you can manipulate it. So these kind of send out the arguments for you. So you kind of use this JSON script. And what do I mean by this? It is like you know, you type in, after you install erdpy, you can kind of run through the commands, right? So you can see there's contract, and, you know, network, wallet, account. This is pretty much your CLI, command line interface, way to interact, do stuff. So what you do is eventually you get the erdpy, and you have to type the next word out here. So you can do like help, gives you help, right? Like a manual, man. erdpy, and then I'm going to go to contract, and I don't know what that is, so I do that. It tells me the next set of things I can do under contract, right? Each branch of these has its own category of command summaries here. So you notice just deploy or new build, all that. So instead, you can kind of do like erdpy contract. Deploy, right? You just do that. No. Let's see. Yeah, so you can kind of do something like this. Okay, so I think this is the previous one I was working on, but you just stay on it. Yeah, I'm in the contract. So. Oh, yeah, there you go. See? It follows all those instructions, because before you can kind of, as you're interacting with the Elrond blockchain with the erdpy, you can kind of do that. So that file essentially saves you the time of having to do this, you know, having to type every single argument, you know. And then usually it takes arguments like this, or you can take it like that, right? And just kind of punch that along. See? So it's kind of cool. I mean, I figured out, oh, okay, you can set up your arguments and settings here. You got your chain ID, the proxy, which one you want to send it off to, the gas, how much gas you want to do, what PEM file to use by default, and where to reference the wasm file that gets generated, and set number arguments here. This argument right here is actually the optional argument that we found here. If I can, where is initiate pong? There, optional arg. So I was researching the Rust library for this. Pretty much what it is, you just pass in another argument. There's documentation on that too. And they cover it here. It's kind of a lot of information to kind of go through. It's good, but yeah, it's really difficult to kind of do this on your own. Keep forgetting where that is. Yeah, see here? They actually had some snippets of code you could use too. You can kind of see that also in their scripts that they have. I think it was interaction, right? You can kind of see how they're calling ERD, and then here's that argument syntax you can kind of see, right? Another one. And another good tool to use if you're into this here is this ERD or Elrond converter tool. It's pretty nice because sometimes you're going to have to pass in those different types of variables or data. You can kind of see this when you interact with different things on the blockchain. When you see like your transactions, you kind of see the data here, you know. So you see all this, you go to your Explorer, and then on the Explorer, you can see all these different types of info. But all of that will pretty much come in handy because sometimes you have to pass those types of arguments inside the erdpy with the two hyphens and whatever the arguments. Yeah, I see here. So when you're using their documentation, you're seeing them kind of do the breakdown like this. This is kind of how you piece it all together. So instead of having to do all this, if you get pretty good at it, I guess, presume is you just use this erdjson file. You can fill that in automatically every time you make that call out. See? So once I figured, oh, okay, cool, you deploy that out, you mess with stuff here. This gives it the things inside the contract that's minted on the blockchain. And everything looks good. There's no errors in your deployment. Everything looks good and smooth, I guess. Sorry about that. Once you mint and send off that, you pretty much download their dApp. And this is like a template that they use. And, you know, the one they use in their videos is deprecated or very old, really old code. The repository that they use for that bad boy is right here. So you can see here This wasn't updated for a while ago. So I think this is the new running one that everybody's using. But yeah, I think since they came out with the new stuff, this has just lost support or something. I don't know. But this is the one I pulled from. So you do that whole entire get clone to here to get that dApp. Just get clone, copy the, whoops, copy this URL, and then it clones this whole folder. You can see that through my history too. Mm-hmm. See? And then once I got that going, you have to install the node. You pretty much, once you install node, and then you node start this, that's pretty much when you can spin it up. So with the Rust, you kind of install the crates or the cargo, and with the dApp, since the dApp's using reactjs, this is just my understandings. Don't know the proper terminology, whatever, but I'm just going to run with it. So Rust, boom, up here. You install that with the cargoes and get that all going nice with the Elrond SDK. Then you have your dApp, and with dApp, that's React.js, so it's using Node. So Node spins it up, and then you run it. And once it runs, that's when this GUI gets spun up. Now, this is just my first video. I'm just kind of going through this. When I have more time, and eventually what I'm going to want to start to do is start doing maybe some live streams, and whenever you guys are around, or whoever's going to be watching this is around, they see I'm on. Maybe we can all form a community and hack away at building up some Elrond stuff together, kind of sharing snippets, because their Telegram's pretty good. Join their Telegram. There's a pretty good community of people in there. Join the game devs. Julian's pretty cool. Elrond developers, pretty good chat. But now they're just tackling so much bigger things now that us small fries are kind of, I don't want to say that we have a small voice, but they're concentrating on stuff, so it's hard to kind of get a voice, your voice heard, but when they do and they hear it, they're pretty good about it. They're polite, they're cordial, they're patient, they really do help you out. But, sometimes for us, small fries, not on their par or their level, can be quite annoying. So I figured, let's just do it ourselves, and maybe we'll come together and help each other out. But yeah. So far I've been liking the Elrond one. I mean, I like the Terra Luna one. That was cool because they had like a multi-sig wallet built in. I thought that was super cool, and that was actually what got me on. Because I like Elrond, love their blockchain, love their tech, the sharding. I worked on some, um, Elastic Stack or, you know, Elk or whatever. But, they're, get some shards going, the way they handle data. And I saw the way that they're handling blockchain data, and I know that blockchain data is just freaking huge. So I figured, hey, just I kind of understand some of the backbone they got going on over there. Eventually, I would like to actually see if I could get their source code and maybe fork their blockchain and make my own fork of the Elrond blockchain, spin out a couple node shards and whatnot, and just let it go. Just be my own private little cloud blockchain to test on. And you can actually whip up a local instance of that too. I saw that. I played with it once, but it's just kind of cool when you have an actual, your own infrastructure set up, little platform, whatnot. But I digress again. But as time goes, we'll figure stuff out, I guess. And I figured, reach out to the community. Somebody out there is probably on my same level, and maybe would find some use from all this. But yeah, so I was going around kind of learning about it. So I went to their nodejs repository and just kind of looked through it, read it. Some of the Rust, seeing what's going on here too. But yeah, it's been pretty interesting. But once I started figuring all this stuff out, when I changed the number of how much eagle to send when you click on that button, typed in 3 here, or, with all those zeros, right? Then I remembered actually inside their dApp, there's a location in here that you have to configure too. Oh, so, once you download and, you get cloned the GUI, the app, there's config.tsx. I changed it, got one for DevNet, and this one I set it up for the testnet. And then here's where you input all the stuff. So found out that, through that video, it tells you, okay, put in your smart contract that you just deployed, right? When you use the ERD deploy to send off the contract, you copy the result, the record of it on the blockchain, and you just paste it in here. So that way, this dApp, this wrapper, knows where to reference that smart contract you deployed on the blockchain. So you can think of it, kind of looks like this. Another Picasso time here. The blockchain's just like that. There's all these blocks. Somewhere in your block, it's going to be your smart contract. And that has all the fields, right? And this actual, paper or this thing that we're looking at is going to be the GUI, right? Of all that, ones and zeros that are over here. 1 0 1 0 1 0 1. All that computer jargon, so that your dApp is human readable from all that. So there, I tried to mess with stuff. So here, you can see the eagle label. And that's where I changed it to dong. I figured, this is probably where it's referenced. But maybe that's... not entirely sure I might break it, but who knows. Maybe you can put your token on the token number there. Maybe that'll do something. But I put all the testnet references. And once I done that, kind of took a look around. And what's interesting is I noticed that, as code, kind of like Python and all this other stuff, you can import stuff from elsewhere, right? So you can actually take a look at all this stuff, when you have time. I'm still trying to figure this out myself, but, it's referencing inside their node repository that they downloaded. You can find that. Like, for example, Walla Connect, all that stuff is working. It's right there. Elrond network's right there. Look, erdjs dApp, right? Some node modules. Kind of reading through all the stuff that they have. So you can kind of see how, their dApp. It's referencing all that stuff on their pages there. Eventually, through more research, and I'm sure our collaboration, we're all looking through all this stuff, we can kind of mention things out. But one thing is under transactions, I think, was the other area that I had to change to make it coincide with the three tokens to send. Because I have that deployed in the smart contract, but then when you click on the GUI button, it's also going to say send 3, you know? Just kind of looking through here. Yeah, it's going to take a while, so maybe it's going to be pretty hard. So, boom, boom. It's like the worst number I can pick, man, because it's just everywhere, but, you know. So I have to do the old manual. Okay, those were the icons. Transaction status, transaction this. I can see how long the app times out to. Yeah, I'm just totally doing this, you guys. If I was better prepared, I could write all these locations down and go over it, but we're riding this together. I think it may be right here. Yeah, there it is. So I changed that value from 1 to 3, and this matched that. Nope, I lied again. Matched this right here. So those were little ways I was messing around and figuring out how to manipulate the GUI and the smart contract. So I felt kind of proud about that. But eventually we'll figure stuff out. Now that I think about it, my friend was pointing out to me as we're kind of trying to dive deep into all this, but when we deployed the contract, I figured, oh, I just changed GGLD to dong and, that'll work, right? But it doesn't. The contract that I deployed is actually using that token smart contract, I believe, so. So you can see all the tests I was trying to do. It's too bad, but yeah, not that far. So I'm thinking, when I was looking through this with my friend, he was like, yeah, click around, look stuff. He's more experienced and is a web dev, but he did bring this to my attention. So maybe inside here, find any reference to eGold. No results. But as time goes on, I guess we'll figure stuff out here. Because ultimately, it's great to make a web page to wrap around your smart contract, but I want to be more fluid. I want to be more diverse, more robust, and be able to interact with my smart contract in many different ways and not just be bound to reactjs. So really trying to deconstruct this. I mean, he did a great job of providing these templates for us to kind of sort through and to kind of have that stack exchange approach, which I do like, really work at it, prove your worth, and that you just don't want to get easy hand me outs or handoffs, because it is kind of mooching and vampire draining, but sometimes there are those that are passionate to want to learn it, but they don't have all the time in the world to do it. And time is short for some people, so, you know, it's not necessarily just want a quick answer. I'm sure that some people would appreciate, but it's hard to siphon those people out. But I'm sure, taking the time to look through this will probably figure out some pretty cool stuff. I think a lot of the community didn't have enough time to kind of dive deep and explain this, but maybe I helped you out. Maybe I pretty much pointed you in the right direction. I mean, starting from scratch, you got contract, the dApp, and the wallet. So when we're playing around with this tool, you'll start off with a contract and a wallet. The wallet will use the test eGold or test token, coin, the native coin of the blockchain to deploy your contract, kind of like Ethereum, right? And then once you figure out how to create smart contracts and deploy it, next thing you know, oh, and here's all the endpoints too. These correspond with the actual smart contract that we got going on here. So you see the relationship and how they're calling each other here. Some type of relationships going on, right? Ping, ping, right? In it. Of course, we saw in it here up at the top, right? Kind of see the enter, get time to pong. Let's see, I think that was in there. Yep, get this one. Yep. Duration time step. Yup. Ping amount. There it is. See? Kind of see how those are all there. So once you get those down, you see the interoperability or interoperation there. But for the life of me, I just couldn't figure out where to switch from Eagle to use your token instead. But anyway, once you get your wallet paid and you typed up your contract very nicely, and in those Bogdan videos, he does a good job, and he deconstructed and reverse engineered it, pretty much walked through. I'm still trying to learn these lingos, right? Because I know in Rust, there's some good Rust documentation to some learning material that's online that kind of walks you through, like, the integers and units, you know, all the different, I guess, jargon or syntax or lingo that Rust uses. We start to build it out. But then, when it gets to here, I don't know if this just straight up Elrond stuff, It starts to get a little bit kind of overwhelming and daunting. So, self makes reference to itself, ownership, and the and symbol means something in Rust. So, and then you got all these functions and getting all this going. Well, yeah, so once you get that, get your dApp, and that wraps right around it. Well, that's just a quick intro, and I don't know if it's quick, but just giving, testing out my tutorial legs here for my first video. Chose to go ahead and do it with Elrond, and thank you for watching this. Hopefully you find it useful. If you do, smash the like and subscribe button, and yeah, help out with the YouTube algorithm. But yeah, so more videos will probably come its way. I can't guarantee anything, any type of set schedule, but as I'm free and I get a window of opportunities, I come on here and try to smash at this. So I plan to release more videos as more I learn, and feel free to comment too. Any breakthroughs that you have, provided in the comments for others in the community to help them out. Eventually, I'm going to try and get more on top of this, maybe put more structure, and on top of that, maybe whip up a Discord channel, Telegram, whatnot, so we can all collab together and share ideas. And, yeah, eventually do some maybe live streams, and you guys can join, and we can pretty much chat on there and figure stuff out. And who knows, maybe make an app together or show you other stuff. But Thanks again. Be safe and talk to you soon. Hello, world. Bye-bye.